My hands trembled as I set the recorder on Mr. Peterson's polished mahogany desk. The small red light blinked steadily, the only stable thing in my crumbling world. "James, I'm not seeing enough new accounts from your desk this month," my manager said, leaning forward with that familiar predatory smile. "Remember our conversation about performance targets?" "I've opened all the legitimate accounts I could find, sir," I replied, my heart hammering against my ribs. His smile vanished. "That's not how we do things at Heartland National. The other associates manage to open 8 accounts per customer. You're averaging 2. He slid a paper across the desk. "Sign this performance improvement plan or clean out your desk today." That moment, recorded on my hidden device, would eventually bring down one of America's largest banking institutions and expose the most extensive consumer fraud in financial history. My name is James Mitchell, 34, personal banker at Heartland National Bank for 6 years. What began as my dream job became a nightmare of impossible sales targets, customer exploitation, and psychological warfare from management. It all started in 2014 when our CEO Marcus Reynolds unveiled his ambitious 8 for Success strategy. Every customer should have 8 Heartland products: credit cards, checking accounts, savings accounts, investment portfolios, insurance policies. The metric became our religion. "Cross-selling is our path to market domination," Reynolds proclaimed during quarterly webcasts. Meanwhile, branch managers like Peterson translated the corporate mandate into brutal daily quotas. The pressure crushed us. 20 new accounts daily, 60 products weekly. No excuses. Those who failed faced termination. Those who succeeded received bonuses and recognition. Nobody asked how these miraculous numbers were achieved. I witnessed colleagues cracking under pressure. Sarah from customer service sobbing in the break room after being threatened with termination. Derek working through pneumonia because missing targets while sick wasn't showing commitment. Linda opening accounts for her dead grandmother to meet her weekly goal. I tried playing by the rules, calling old customers, offering genuine financial advice, building relationships. My numbers were respectable, but nowhere near the department leaders who somehow opened triple the accounts I did. Then I discovered their secret. It happened accidentally. Mrs. Rodriguez, a loyal customer for 20 years, came in confused about statement fees for accounts she never opened. When I investigated, I found 8 accounts in her name, savings accounts with $25 minimums, credit cards never activated, insurance policies never signed. "I only have my checking and business accounts," she insisted. "Nothing else." I dug deeper and found the accounts had been opened by Vanessa Thompson, our regional employee of the year, 3 years running. That night, I stayed late and reviewed other customer profiles. The pattern was unmistakable. Our top performers weren't selling more. They were creating fictional accounts without customer knowledge, forging signatures, and transferring tiny amounts between accounts to make them appear active. The rabbit hole went deeper. Customers were being charged maintenance fees on phantom accounts. Credit scores were damaged by unrequested credit inquiries. Insurance policies were being billed automatically. When I brought my findings to Peterson, his response chilled me. "This is how banking works, James," he said quietly. "Everyone does it. The customers rarely notice, and if they do, we apologize and close the accounts. No harm done." "But it's fraud," I protested. He leaned closer, voice hardening. "It's business. Reynolds needs these numbers for Wall Street. The shareholders demand growth. Where do you think your paycheck comes from?" His expression darkened. "Besides, there's no proof these aren't legitimate. You're making serious accusations that could damage careers, including yours." The threat was clear. Keep quiet or lose everything. That night, as I sat in my apartment staring at spreadsheets documenting thousands of fraudulent accounts, I made my decision. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Mrs. Rodriguez and countless others being exploited by an institution they trusted. I began documenting everything, recording conversations, copying account records, screenshotting emails demanding solutions to meet impossible targets. I built a secure database of evidence, carefully encrypted and backed up off-site. For 18 months, I played the game. I smiled in meetings while secretly recording executives explaining how to create solutions for customers who didn't know what they needed. I watched colleagues get promoted for fraud while others were terminated for honesty. I endured Peterson's daily intimidation while building my case. The psychological toll was immense. I developed insomnia, grinding my teeth until my jaw ached each morning. My relationship with my fiancée collapsed under the weight of my secrecy and stress. Friends stopped calling as I withdrew into my private mission. What kept me going were the customers, elderly couples losing money they couldn't trace, immigrants with limited English being signed up for premium services they couldn't afford, small business owners finding their credit lines affected by cards they never requested. The breaking point came when Peterson gathered the team to celebrate our region hitting 1 million accounts. "This is how winners perform," he crowed, champagne in hand. "This is why Heartland National leads the industry." I knew at least 40% of those accounts were fraudulent. Each represented a betrayed customer, a broken ethical standard, another crack in our financial system's foundation. That weekend, I compiled my evidence and sent it to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, and 3 financial journalists who had previously covered banking ethics. The response was swift and devastating. Federal investigators descended on Heartland headquarters. The stock plummeted 25% in 3 days as the scope of the fraud emerged. Internal audits revealed over 2 million unauthorized accounts, affecting more than 3.5 million customers. The damage stretched back 8 years. Peterson was terminated immediately. When he cleared out his office, he stopped at my desk. "You did this," he whispered, face contorted with rage. "You had everything. You could have been regional director in 2 years. I met his gaze steadily. I already had everything that mattered. The aftermath was cataclysmic. Heartland fired 5,300 employees, though most were low-level workers following orders. CEO Reynolds resigned in disgrace. The bank paid $3.7 billion in regulatory fines and customer settlements. My whistleblower status entitled me to a percentage of the regulatory recovery, enough to ensure financial security for life. The money didn't interest me as much as the systemic changes my actions forced: new regulations on sales incentives, enhanced whistleblower protections, and independent monitoring of banking sales practices. Mrs. Rodriguez hugged me when she learned of my role. "You stood up when nobody else would," she said, tears in her eyes. Not everyone viewed me as a hero. Former colleagues accused me of betrayal. Industry insiders called me naive. Anonymous threats arrived at my new address. The banking community blacklisted me. But each night, I sleep soundly for the first time in years. Sometimes standing against systemic corruption isn't about dramatic confrontations or grand moral stands. It's about patient documentation, quiet resistance, and the courage to place ethical principles above personal gain. It's about remembering that financial institutions exist to serve people, not to exploit them for quarterly profits. The banking industry has a new term now: the Mitchell Rule, requiring transparent reporting of account openings and customer confirmation of all new services. As for me, I teach banking ethics at a university now, sharing my experience with future financial professionals. My story has become a mandatory case study in business schools nationwide. The recorder that captured Peterson's threats sits on my desk, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon against corporate corruption isn't dramatic confrontation, but methodical documentation of the truth. When students ask if the personal cost was worth it, I tell them about Mrs. Rodriguez and the millions like her who trusted a system that betrayed them. I tell them about the colleagues broken by impossible demands. I tell them about sleeping soundly. The answer is always yes.